You're listening to the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast.
Howdy, I'm Austin Larson. This is the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast. I'm joined today by my guest, Rob.
Hey, buenos noches.
Awesome. Hey, Rob, thank you so much for being on the show. Real quickly here, would you say that you were raised around the tattoo culture / tattoo industry?
So I think I got into it, I don't want to say later in life, but like my uncle rode bikes. So I kind of grew up in that culture for a little bit. My godfather. So, I went to a bunch of bike conventions with him. So I was kind of immersed in it at an early age. So it was never taboo to me. But then, 16, 17, right around that time frame, it was like, boom, full throttle. I got free money. Let's put some ink on the skin.
Hell yeah, man. I totally feel that. All right. And so today we're going to be discussing your clothing line. It's Ghost and Darkness. You guys make t-shirts, jackets, hoodies, hats. You guys make lingerie too, right?
Yeah, we make some cotton undies. I mean, if you want to bite it off, you can bite it off, I guess. Yeah, go for it.
Hey, there we go. I mean, there's really something for everyone there. Tell us a little bit about the history of Ghost and Darkness.
I actually come from a music background. A bunch of buddies of mine were in a band a long time ago. Like most bands, Warped Tour was kind of the goal. We kind of, I don't want to say snuck onto Warped Tour, but we followed the tour for a very long time. Long story short, got on it and then kind of morphed into a indie record label. We found a loophole in the system and we exposed the hell out of it. We tried bringing as many of our friends along with us that we could. Through one of the bands that I ended up signing onto that record label, I met my former business partner, Jake, and he was a graphic designer. And I was like, dude, if for some reason this doesn't ever work out for us, I'm kind of getting tired of the music scene. It's a dirty, dirty business. I was like, why don't you and I kind of start, a clothing brand? Merchandising is a big thing to do with the music scene. It's a lot of how indie bands pay to continue to do what they're doing. So, Jake and I started a brand called Jaybird, and it was his initials and my initials together. And we really focused on our hometown, and we wanted to bring up our hometown of Rochester. So a lot of the imagery was, Rochester based or Western New York based. So a lot of things that you would identify with if you were touring the country or something like that. Somebody from your hometown would notice it, probably recognize where we were from. And like I said before, I kind of was immersed into the tattoo scene at a very young age. I actually lived with my tattoo artist for a very long time. And, that's kind of more my wheelhouse and my comfort zone. So I approached my partner and I was like, hey, I got this idea, but I don't want to offend kind of the customer base we already have built up. Why don't we, do an offshoot and I'll run it and we'll just throw a little bit of money at it and just kind of see where it goes. And I hooked up with Nick Adam from Vanna. He helped design the first, original like 6 or 8 graphics that we use for our shirts. It blew up. It did really well. Nick's got a phenomenal art style, and it was a lot of wordplay that I was shooting at him, and he was shooting back a lot of cool ideas. And that's kind of where Ghost and Darkness was born from. It was actually supposed to be Jaybird Black, because it was just supposed to be black and white imagery. And I was like, man, let's just keep the name out of it completely and just call it something separate and go from there.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. So where did that name Ghost and Darkness come from? Was that just something you kind of randomly came up with? Or?
So there's a really cool movie about 2 lions in Africa, The Ghost and the Darkness, with Val Kilmer. And it's a true story. It's about these 2 African lions that were just slaughtering people, hundreds of years ago. That's kind of where I came up with the name of the movie. It's funny because it's a cool movie, but it's not even like registered in my top like 50 movies that I would ever watch. But I always liked it, and I thought it was dark enough, but not like, I hope nobody's listening that is going to like shoot me down on this, but I didn't want it to be like Blackcraft. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be overly dark, but at the same time, I don't want it to be, bubblegum cool, if that makes sense. I want it to be that happy medium that, you could cast that big net and kind of appeal to everybody. There's definitely some dark imagery that we have, but then there's also some stuff that your mom would wear. So, I've always tried to cast that big funnel and narrow it down as you dug a little bit deeper into our website. I love Blackcraft. I gotta make sure I throw that out there. I do love Blackcraft. That's what I was saying. I didn't want anybody to hear that and think that I was like shit talking him or anything like that.
Yeah, no, he's not the guy saying fuck Blackcraft. He's saying I don't want to be Blackcraft.
They're good dudes and ladies over there. I like the brand a lot.
So you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier that you kind of got into clothing, as related to merch, as related to, records. Ideally, was some clothing something that you had always kind of wanted to get into, or was it something that just kind of sprouted in your mind later?
I don't know, man. Like, I'm not saying I was a troubled teen by any means. I think I was a rebellious teen. I'm 36, so, the pop punk scene and everything like that is kind of what I grew up in. So, every kid in your school was in a band. And this was before MySpace and Facebook and all that, where you had to actually hustle to, get your band's name out there. And so I was always kind of in that scene from a young age, man, always just kind of selling things and trying to make money off of it. And, I ended up working with a lot of the bigger bands from our hometown. Two of the bands that I worked with ended up signing to major record labels. So, it was cool that at one point I was a part of that and did that. But, when I said Warped Tour and stuff, that was kind of like the proving ground where it's like, all right, man, we don't sell something, we don't eat. So it was always one of those, like, how can we figure out a way to make some money that's not going to kill us and not going to, make us go broke at the same time and feed ourselves. So, for like 8 years, we were pretty much homeless, living in a van, selling in Walmart parking lots after a show or, whatever we could do just to try to make a couple bucks to eat that day.
Oh shit, starving art, suffering for the art. So once you guys were kind of transitioning away from records into clothing like full time, how were people reacting initially?
We got a great response, man. Like I said, my previous business partner, Jake, he was in a really popular band from back home. I was actually living in Hawaii at the time. I was going to school out there for music business. The whole connection kind of came about cross continent. I was in the middle of the ocean and he was in New York, and I was like, hey man, I want to do this. What's your thoughts? And he was in, and I moved back home. I don't know, maybe 2 months later. During that time, him and I were shooting ideas back and forth. We got a really good reception. We used his at home, reputation for being a solid musician, being in great bands, my reputation of being in that music scene. And we knew thousands of people, man. We knew everybody. So we were like, hey, we're throwing a party. We're launching a clothing brand. Come out. It's going to be fun. And we had a whole bunch of our buddies' bands come out and play, and we threw a rager, and, it just kind of kicked off from there and just snowballed.
Oh shit. Well, a rager like that is starting off on the right foot.
We try to have fun with it, man. We threw a party one time. It was a Hawaiian, we called the whole, what was it? The hardcore hula, I think it was. And it was completely Hawaiian themed, but at the same time, it was like all metal and hardcore. This was at the time when everybody was doing the whole pineapple pizza thing all over Facebook. The only food that could be there was pineapple pizza. People were like pissed. They were so pissed. So, we made people do like a pineapple pizza eating contest on stage for t-shirts. And it's amazing the things you can make people do for a free t-shirt. It's pretty funny, man.
I've eaten pineapple pizza lots of times, not gotten clothing out of it. So shit, if I get a cool t-shirt, right? Seriously, people just grow up, right? If you don't like pineapple pizza, you're wrong.
He's got to hate something, but I love it. And I thought it was hysterical.
That's pretty damn funny. And you said that Ghost and Darkness has been a brand by itself for 8 years now, right?
No. Ghost and Darkness has been around for going in their third year. Jaybird, almost 7 years. Recently split. It wasn't a bad thing by any means. It was completely amicable. The businesses shifted. So, Jaybird was already kind of its own entity, and it did everything that it needed to do, and it was constantly evolving, and now it's a full-blown print shop. But Ghost just steamrolled, and, on the retail side, it was just full throttle, because the whole point behind it was we wanted to utilize tattoo artists. We had a lot of friends that tattoo. Rochester's got a ton of artists in it. At the same time, I do a ton of tattoo expos, and I'm constantly surrounded by amazing talent. You become friends with these people and they become your family. And it's like, I want to make sure that people know of this person's talent. So I utilize, a lot of artists that I meet on that circuit. We don't overly brand our shirts. It's not like, I'm wearing one right now, but it's not like Ghost and Darkness is written all over it. I want to make sure that the art is what is captured, and the brand is secondary. And I think a lot of, at least the tattoo artists, have definitely appreciated that. I make sure that there's a section on my website that you can actually click on the artist's name, and it pulls up all of their designs, so that way they don't get lost in the whole shuffle. Recently, Ink magazine picked us up. We're sold on Inc.'s website. And that was one of the things I was like, yo, you got to make sure that you put the artist name, whoever designed it within my description. I need to make sure that that artist is at least represented in there, because I'm not the pen on paper to it. I conceptualize a lot of things. I'm the final yay or nay if this gets printed, but it's really the artists that do all the work, creatively.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I completely agree with that. And then I'm sorry, that shirt you're wearing right now, is that the Prisoner of Pabst one?
Prisoner of PBR, baby.
Hell yeah. Okay, I saw that one on the website and I was like, oh, that's hella cool. I am a big PBR guy.
Wolf Tattooer. He's down in Dallas. So yeah, he's the one that created this. It's funny, man. This dude that I just met in Philly at the Philly Tattoo Expo, which is, if it's not the largest tattoo expo in the world, it's the second, I think, behind maybe London. But just a cool dude, bought a ton of shirts from us. He's like, hey man, I'm an artist. This is what I do. Sent me some designs. I was like, yo, that one, and that one. Let's roll with these. And I got 2 of the 3. Yeah, and again, another great dude. He's just done cool stuff for us, and I gotta hit him up now. Now I'm talking about it. It's like, man, I haven't talked to him in a minute. I better holler at him to see how he's doing.
So since you've been making clothing, any fun or crazy stories just in the past 7 years?
I mean, I feel like we're going through a crazy story right now.
Very true.
This little pandemic thing. Like I said, we kind of do a lot of my business is done through tattoo expos, and that's obviously slowed down. As of right now, I'm out like 6 expos so far. So my entire month has just completely opened up, which is kind of why I'm like, yo, who's got a podcast? Let's do something fun.
Well, thanks again.
And I appreciate you reaching out, man. Like, I really do. This is cool. We try to do a bunch of fun stuff at those things, man. Like, on Sundays, I try to organize like $100 dice game with everybody where, if we're playing dice, you get one roll and it's $100 to buy in, just to kind of create a little excitement between everybody. And I do got a fun story. We were in Baltimore. It wasn't last year, it was the year before. And I just met this dude. His name's Tracy, but we don't ever call him that. His name is The Mustache. He's an amazing, amazing, amazing dude. We just, hey, you guys are here for the Tattoo Expo? Sure am. Cool. Let's go grab drinks since we're waiting anyways. And we went to this rye bar. It was a rye bar. I don't drink that stuff, man. I drink beer. I drink clear liquid, booze. I don't get into the dark liquids. And this dude was just crushing booze, and I loved it. And I was like, you are my best friend. He's got this crazy flipped up mustache. I was like, dude, you should let me like tattoo you tomorrow. As most people try to strike up a conversation. And he's like, fuck yeah, man, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I'm gonna black out your nipple. And he goes, all right, let's do it. Completely drunk. Well, the dude that owned his shop was there, and he's like, that's happening. You have to do this now. We're going to make sure this happens tomorrow. The next day he showed up and he had no clue of it. I'm like, yo, man, you ready? Let's go. And he's like, what? And I'm like, we're blacking out your nipple. And he goes, what? Like, what are you talking about? And his whole shop was like, nah, dude, yesterday you made an appointment, man. We're setting this up right now. You're getting your nipple blacked out. That's how we started off the Baltimore Tattoo Expo 2 years ago, was blacking out this dude's nipple who had nothing on his chest. Like, it's literally just a black nipple. And it was hysterical, and he was pissed. He was not happy about it at all. And we ended up turning it in for Tattoo of the Day. Yeah, we placed last.
At least you placed.
But we placed. And that's what I said. I'm like, hey, man, we came in 24th, dude. This was a good tattoo. So, yeah, and it's, it's just something we bust balls about all the time. He's one of those dudes where I just holler at him and be like, yo, man, how's your chest? And it's still, to this day, he's just got this one black nipple on his chest, and it's hysterical.
Shit, gotta keep it asymmetrical like that. I like it.
I think he's got some more work now, but he's definitely got one black nipple, and that's it. I did that. That's mine, buddy.
Something to be proud of. I like it. So, what have you found to be the best marketing tool for growing the brand?
Face to face. Always face to face, man. I've got a couple salespeople that work for me. My buddy Ed, who again was just another dude that he's from Pittsburgh, and I was like, yo, I'm going to be at the DC Tattoo Expo this week. And he's like, yo, I'm going to show up. I'm like, bring me tacos, dude. Like, jokingly, just busting his balls. And he ended up showing up, and he didn't bring me tacos, but he brought me a beer, and that was cool. Him and I have been really good buddies to this day. And I was like, yo, you want to work for me, man? You want to come do this? You seem like you know a lot of people here. So I sent him on the road for me. My friend Mackenzie, my homegirl Jess from back home, all 3 of them kind of work for me, but it's me, man. Like, if I can do the expo, I'm there. Shoot, I want to say last year I did maybe 30 or 35 expos alone. And that's every weekend almost, and, it's just face-to-face interaction, busting balls with people, having a good time, making sure that everybody knows that we're We're there to have fun. We want to try to leave everybody with an experience. Even if they don't buy something, they remember who we are. And it could be just, I said something cheesy to them. I have a lot of really cheesy, stupid one-liners where I'll just drop them while people are walking by and they're like, wait, did this dude just say that? And it works, like we did New England Tattoo Expo right before everything got shut down. And on my way up, I went to a McDonald's and I bought every toy that they had. Every single toy that they had. I was like, I want everyone. They're like, wait, what? Really? Like, how are we supposed to do for Happy Meals? Like, not my problem. I want all your toys. And I did. And I just handed them out to little kids at the Tattoo Expo the entire time. It got their parents to stop. And then they were like, oh, man, check this out. This is cool. Like, let me grab that hoodie right there. So between two kids getting a toy, it paid for all the toys that I bought. And, it made me a ton of different fans. And people hit me up like, oh, man, my kid loves this stupid little, Frozen toy that you gave them, like it's just dumb, stupid things that I don't think anybody really thinks about. Giving away toilet paper right now.
Shit, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, dude. I keep buying rolls of toilet paper and I've got it. If you hit $75 on my website, I throw a roll of toilet paper in there for you just to hook some people up. You're like, I only had one roll a little bit ago and I was just ripping squares off and printing up pictures of Elaine from Seinfeld saying, can you spare a square?
Oh my God.
And I threw like 3 squares in there for people and it was just funny, man. It just made people laugh. And, like I said, man, I want everybody to know that I keep saying it's just me. Legit, it's just me that works in my office, Ed and all them are, hey, I need an expo done. You want to do it? Yeah, cool. But it's legit. It's just me, man. So, I try to make sure that they know I'm a real person. Everybody that DMs me, I try to at least answer or at least acknowledge it. You know what I mean? I'll put the little like button on there, or whatnot if I'm too busy, but at least to know that, I don't think of people as just a wallet. I want them to know that I do care, and I try to post up, suicide prevention and, things like that. If I see one of my artist friends' cats sick, I try to throw their GoFundMe up there or something like that. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that I'm real and I can help them if I can.
Hell yeah, I think that's very important, I mean, especially with corporate culture as we're seeing right now, so definitely knowing that, that this brand is just a real dude, just like you or me, no, that's very important.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when I'm trying to ask people for the money that they're definitely not bringing in right now. It's tough.
The brand is very tattoo inspired, and you've mentioned that you work a lot of tattoo expos. Are you still hitting music festivals too a little bit, or is it mostly just tattoo expos these days?
I love tattoo festivals. I got 2 kids, man. So weekend is kind of my, I don't want to say playtime, but that's my get out and do my real dirty work type time. That's my tattoo expo time and stuff like that. So to do like a music festival, it's just not in the budget for me right now. Like Riot Fest is probably the one that I would do. And
I was about to ask about that one specifically, so that's funny.
Yeah.
That's usually the one I hit, so that's...
Yeah, no, I love Riot Fest, man. I think it's a cool show. It's definitely expensive to do it. Everybody that I've talked to that has done it has done a great deal of money at it. And, as much as I like to say, I don't like to think of people as wallets, at the end of the day, I still got to pay my bills too. Warped Tour was kind of that last one that was really worth it for me, but that's so draining and it's so exhausting. Like I said, I did Warped Tour for like 8-9 years. I mean, they named it perfectly because, you do 60, 70 dates in a row. And at the end of that tour, you don't want to talk to anybody. And it's just logistically, it's just a nightmare, man. How can I get shirts here? And when can I make sure that this is done? And am I doing online orders? Am I doing this? And it was a headache with the 4 people that I were doing it before with, and they were my best friends. And I can't imagine trying to do that now, being a 1-2 man operation. Even if I did bring Ed or Mackenzie or Jess with me, like, could they handle it? Absolutely. Could I get them to quit their jobs for 6-7 weeks at a time and do that? Probably not. That's something you got to have like a 18, 19-year-old kid to do that doesn't care about life. And, at that point, do you want somebody who doesn't care about life doing that for you? As much as I don't want to sit there and, refer to it like this, I'm kind of like a Zoomies. You know what I mean? I need those energetic kids that you can get young, but at the same time, the ones that are like super focused on making a ton of money. I pay people a commission. Like, yeah, man, you can make as much as you want as long as you make money. I think that's kind of a motivator and stuff like that. Ed, same thing, man. Ed calls me up all the time at a show and he's like, oh man, what do you think about this? Like, dude, try changing some stuff, man. Like, approach people differently. If you're your cheesy, goofy one-liner's not working, man. And I bust balls with that all the time. Like, yo, Ed, take your shirt off because he's got this rad giant trad piece on his chest, and I'm always like, show that thing off, dude. You're at a tattoo expo. People will want to talk to you about that piece. It's an award-winning piece. The artist that did it has got like 5 or 6 first places on that thing. Like, he wins all the time with it. It's like, talk about that piece, man. It's a cool giant piece that you got. Like, use it. But Ed's not a loser kid that's 18 years old, man. Like, I can't steal that away from his real money maker, dude. He makes some good money.
If only, though, right?
I wish I did. If I had like 10 Eds, I could be one of the biggest tattoo brands in the world. So
Get a clone or something, right?
Dude, I wish I could, man. He's a good dude, man. I can't talk enough good things about Ed.
So what do you think the biggest change that you've personally seen since entering the industry has been?
I think, and this one I'm definitely going to get crucified on, small town ego. You get a lot of artists that have never left their town, that have been doing their same thing for 20 years. And, you know, there's just zero progression in that where, you know, when I was growing up and I was, you know, yeah, this artist is phenomenal. This artist is great. And then you leave your town and you get to experience all these artists that are out there. And you're just like, wow, like, holy shit, I can't believe that I wasted so much valuable real estate on my body with these tattoos when I could have been getting tattooed by these people doing this cool stuff. But you talk to some of those artists that are in your hometown and they think they're the greatest thing in the world. And that's just, it's the ego. You know what I mean? I've been very blessed to be invited to Hell City every year by Derb, and Derb is such a respected individual in the tattoo industry. And like I said, I'm very fortunate, and he's got a phenomenal lineup of artists that come to his shows. Like, I feel bad because I don't even have a chance to really talk to some of those artists at his shows just because of how busy they are. You know, Villain Arts is run by Troy. Troy's the one that puts on Philly. You know, you've got just a massive array of artists. You know, you get some of the artists that are like, cool, Ink Master, blah, blah, blah. And then you get a lot of artists that are like, man, fuck Ink Master. This is whack. It's cool. Like, it is what it is. I think that Ink Master's definitely played a big part in helping to relieve a lot of the tattoo stigma where it's just a biker culture type thing, because it's not what it is. Does biker culture have a big place in the tattoo world? Absolutely. Is that the end all be all? No, absolutely not, man. My buddy Gian, who was on Ink Master, who does design work for me, you know, he comes to shows with his Yorkie. You know, like, here's this phenomenal artist and he's got this foo-foo dog of a Yorkie, and I love it because I'm not gonna lie, man, I got a Yorkie. And so, like, that's how him and I connected. You know, like, I run over there all the time to go see his little ass dog while he's tattooing some crazy, full, ridiculous piece. You know, it's just funny because he's so humble. And, you know, like I said, you talk to some artists at home that 15 minutes outside of here, nobody knows their names. You know, then you see these dudes that are just hustling and young talent. Like, there's this kid out in outside of Baltimore named Zach Smith. Real young dude. I think his Instagram handle's Prophet Inc. Like I said, like 23, 24. This dude's got cleaner line work than just about anybody I've ever seen. Like, dudes that have been tattooing for 20, 30 years, and he blows them away, and he's just that good. But he's humble. He's quiet. I'm like his bad friend, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the one like, yo, man, let's go over here and do this. And he's like, how about we just go do this at this quiet bar? You know, we don't got to go get rowdy over here. But it's cool, man. It's, you know, like I said, there's a lot of talent out there, and it's a lot of broadening your horizons. And I think that was the biggest eye opener, is going to those things and just seeing the amount of talent that really is out there, and, you know, how valuable it is.
Since we're talking about tattoos already, what style of tattooing would you say most closely represents the designs of the brand?
American traditional, and you know, black work, dot work, a lot of heavy stippling. I'd love to sit there and say that, like, that's what I've got all over me, but my artist that I did live with, he does a lot of Japanese traditional with his kind of flair on it, and it's great, and I love it. The American traditional and the black work is what, you know, I shoot for. But again, like I said, Gian has done stuff for me, and he's not an American traditional guy. Holly Marie, super hardcore traditional artist, and I kind of pushed her a little bit out of her realm. She did our Devil Tarot card.
It's
still got a traditional, it's still got like a trad feeling to it, but, you know, it's definitely not that full blown style. But then there's dudes like Jeff Burt, who is as traditional as they come. And we had this awesome shirt that we did. I got to re-release that. It was a good shirt. A big trad eagle with a giant coil machine, and it said "loyal to the coil." It's not really an online seller. That's one that goes at the tattoo expos where people are like, "Yeah, man, that's dope. That's what I want." But then I got dudes like Dan Brown, who again is a trad artist who did a lot of like devilish looking stuff for me. He did our Holy Goat design, and it's cool and it's evil, and that's what I like.
All right. So would you say that you feel like traditional translates to clothing more easily than, say, I guess like black and gray or other styles?
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of that is kind of with the. Do you have a mullet?
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Here, go ahead. Take a
Let
look.
me see your flow, dude. I'm sorry. That thing just.
Please. No, I love talking about this. Here.
Yeah, dude. Your flow is what's up.
Hey.
You play hockey?
Not well.
All right, whatever, man. It's cool. That's all right. I just saw you turn your head and like, this dude's got a power mullet, and I love it.
Well, thank you for recognizing, man. I appreciate it. My artist does play hockey, though. That's funny.
All right. See, that's what's up. What was I saying there? Oh, so a lot of it has to do with the screen printing technique. So screening is it's a lot like binary. It's either on or it's off. So when you do the mechanics of screen printing, there's emulsion, and then you burn a negative image into it, and that negative image is where the ink is going to flush through. So you can't really get a ton of gradients in it without half toning, without doing a lot of, I don't want to call it scientific stuff, but there is a science to it. You have to be really good at manipulating stuff on Photoshop to get a lot of gradient into things. That was why originally I really was turned on to, like I said, Nick Adams style, which is a lot of heavy stippling and, real bold lines, but you get a lot of that texture through his stippling. So Nick's done like our Dead Birds, our Dead Men, the original Reaper design. He's got a lot of really cool, solid, traditional stuff because, again, that's a lot of on or off artwork. It's not, you're not blending in that as much.
All right. So what are some unseen pros and cons to owning your own clothing line?
Oh my God, I get it every day. Hey man, I really love your designs. Let me do some free shirts with you. Like, what's up? What's going on? And like, I'll hit them up, and they don't even follow my brand. So yeah, it's one of those things that it's just like, you always get the people that want the free shirts, and I get it, dude. Like I totally understand it, and I'm not gonna sit there and act like I don't shoot free shirts out to people, because I do. But like that fake love, I had it was really funny because you could definitely tell they weren't from America, and I wasn't trying to like completely bust their balls, but they were, it was this company, and they're like, oh, we represent this model, and we think she'd be a really good fit for your brand. And I was looking at it, and she was this teeny bopper, like Taylor Swift looking, never even seen a tattoo machine in her life. You could just totally tell, innocent, sweet little country girl. And so I just decided to fuck with her. And I was just like, what makes you think that this is a good representation of my brand? Well, we've done things with Abercrombie, and we've done things with American Eagle, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, have you ever sacrificed a virgin? Have you ever, just obscure, off the wall, like demonic shit? And they're like, well, why would we need to do that? And I was like, have you really looked at my brand? Do you know what the hell you're even, like, read the name? Like, even the name alone, it doesn't scream, Hollister or something like that. Like, your girl's probably not the right one for me. I think they finally got the clue, and they're like, yeah, I think you're right. This isn't the right brand. I think that's like my biggest turnoff. The pros, dude, I meet a million people all the time. Really cool artist friends that, I probably wouldn't normally have access to. Kyle McKenzie, great dude. Another trad artist dude. And, his brother Jimmy Snaz, who's on this season of Ink Master. Just good dudes, Josh Payne and Tom Bowman, and like I said, Holly and, Gian, all these awesome, cool artists that I just get to meet, and we're all friends, and it's just a big family. That community is very tight knit, and to be accepted in it without being a full blown tattoo artist by any means. I'm not a tattoo artist. I have tattooed a few of my friends, and they are really funny, stupid tattoos. Like my very first tattoo I did was on my tattoo artist. He's a huge Bills homer, like the Buffalo Bills. This was like, I think like 10, 11 years ago, when the Bills were about to beat New England, and Tom Brady pulled a Tom Brady and won the game with like 2 minutes left, and he destroyed my whole house. anyways, I got to tattoo an old school Bills logo on the ditch of his knee, and it was my very first tattoo, and he was pissed about it, but he loved it, and it's like one of his favorite tattoos to this day. And he's like, dude, you did that, you packed the shit out of that red, in there. I wrote Po Buddy's Nerfect in terrible chicken scratch, old school coil machine handwriting. It's funny, man. We bust balls about it all the time, and I'm sure it's scarred to shit to how much I probably dug him, but it's just a funny, little thing. And now every now and then, I get to throw some gloves on and put a, quarter size bullshit on one of my homies. And I've got so many terrible tattoos because of doing shit like that, but I love them at the same time.
Terrible tattoos are awesome stories. That's why I have a podcast.
That's it, man. That's it.
And then, so with a lot of the traditional design, since we've been talking about that, how important do you think it is to have at least a little bit of a sense of humor?
Oh my God, if you have no sense of humor, what the fuck are you doing out here, man? Like, I mean, I'm sure if you've seen my Instagram or my Facebook, it's just littered with bullshit. Right now, I think there was a code on my website that said Carol did it because of Tiger King.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you gotta know who the hell Roy Boy is if you're sitting there watching Tiger King and all this ridiculous shit. If you walk by my booth, man, it's all I'm trying to do is make people laugh. Like, I can't tell you how many times like some random person's walked by my booth and I've dropped this one line, and it's my go-to line. And anytime that somebody new is by my booth and they hear it, they immediately are like, "What the fuck did you just say?" If even a girl or a guy, I don't care who it is, they'll be walking by, I'll be like, "Oh, you dropped something," and I'll just point on the ground and just wait till they turn around, and they will legit like turn around and like almost like they break their neck to look, and I'll be like, "My jaw." And it's the cheesiest, stupidest line, but immediately people laugh. They're like, "Oh," and you have to deliver it so like, "Oh, my jaw," and then like kind of point at them, give them the old finger point thing, and they instantly know that you're busting balls. But at the same time, they're like, "All right, what do you got over here? Let's see. I guess I gotta come over now since you got me that good with that stupid cheesy one-liner." And some people just laugh and walk by, but at least they see you and they know next time they walk by, I'm gonna try to get them to stop.
Totally. Since you mentioned Tiger King there, I feel like that's definitely what everyone's binging during the quarantine. Do you prefer your designs for your clothing to be more, I guess, substance-based? And by that, I mean something that'll kind of withstand the test of time? Or do you guys ever do more pop culture-themed stuff? As I understand it, you and I are both wrestling fans. So.
Yes, I do love wrestling. I was a wrestler.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah, man. I wrestled for a little bit.
What the fuck? Seriously?
So,
shit.
All right. To answer your question, I do want some stuff with some substance. I've got a shirt called Our Big Girls Don't Cry shirt. And it's a naked girl, just her butt view with a bleeding knife. I got so much shit for it when I first released it. But the whole reason I fell in love with the design is because I didn't want people to think that girls were fragile. I don't think girls are fragile. I don't think that, girls can't do the same thing a man can do. I think that girls are a very strong vocal voice in this nation. And I'm proud to be friends with so many female artists and things of that nature, and very strong women. The whole point of the shirt was, like I said, big girls don't cry. It finishes off with, they get even. They will wreck house if they have to. And I think that's a very important shirt in our line. It was designed by a dude named Cat Sneeze. I fell in love with it. And, I love seeing that shirt. It's the only true pink shirt that we make. Like, it is full blown pink. I put it up against any one of my black t-shirts and it still sells and it does its thing, but it gets a message across. Sure, there's my Prisoner of Pep shirt, which has a little bit of humor in it, but at the same time, PBR, man, if you go to a tattoo expo, all them dudes are drinking PBR, man. It's the $3 beer. It's easy and you just blast them. But
Elixir of the Gods.
That's it. But yeah, to go back on the wrestling thing. So my buddy, I won't say his real name because you don't do that, but his name's Hellcat. He owned a promotion. I went to an indie wrestling show, and he was, one of my buddies that actually used to work for me. He was a wrestler. He's like, "I want you to come to my show. I want you to come to my show." And this dude came out, and we just started heckling him. And it wasn't like we were heckling him to like be assholes, but I'm a big believer that if you go to an indie wrestling show, which everybody should go to an indie wrestling show, go to an indie wrestling show. It's so much fun. And it's a lot of cool, talented people that are it's live theater. You have to go into it thinking it's like a haunted house. You have to go into that thing and let yourself get immersed into it. You know, when you go into that haunted house, I don't care how big you are, how bad you are, somebody jumps out at the dark, you scream like a little kid. And it's fun. You're laughing. This dude came out and his tag partner had a Batman symbol tattoo on his chest. His name is Matic. I was like, who's this Batman lookalike wannabe and his little sidekick? And his sidekick was Hellcat. And so he's like, I'm nobody's sidekick. And I'm like, you're a fucking sidekick, dude. You're Robin. You're fucking Robin, man. You know, we busted balls with him, and this went on for like 5 or 6 shows, and we became like good friends with him. And he used to come into our shop, and he's like, you know, I own a promotion, man. He's like, that one that you go to isn't the promotion I run. I'd love for you to come out to my promotion and just see it. I was like, fuck yeah, man, I'm all about it. He goes, you know what, man? Bring a table, set up there. I'm not going to charge you, and sell merch. I'll put your logo on our thing. And we kind of became an unofficial sponsor of his brand. So then the Tattoo Expos kind of started gearing up, and I was like, look, I love you, man. I have a blast at your shows. I can't go to these every month now because of all these Tattoo Expos. I was like, if I'm in town, I'll definitely show up. And he goes, dude, do your thing. He's like, I totally get it. That's how you make your money. I'm going to keep your logo on my flyers, though. And if you ever want to send anything, send it. We'll sell your stuff for you, and I'll give you all the money. I'm like, dude, you're the man. So I ended up going to one of his events, and it was kind of like his SummerSlam event. It was right down the road from me. That dude, Matic, with the Batman symbol, who's a heel, which is a bad guy in wrestling, comes out, and I've got my 5-year-old son with me. I think he was 3 at the time, 3.5.
Oh, okay.
Young kid. And Matt, you know, being a heel, was yelling at the crowd, and he just started to yell as he passed my son, and he made my son cry.
Ooh.
So, you know, my kid was having a great time. So we were just, you know, and Matt felt terrible about it later, you know, not to break kayfabe, which is, you know, the wrestling lingo and stuff. But Matt did feel bad about it later, and was busting balls with me and stuff like that. My buddy was like, hey man, I've got a battle royal coming up. What would you feel about like coming into the ring? I know you like wrestling, you know, would you mind coming in and we can make a whole storyline with this? And I'm like, oh yeah, dude, this is right up my alley. So my partner Jake and I came in as a tag team called, you know, Jaybird. We used our store name. We used it as a way to, you know, kind of get our name out there a little bit more. And we went through this huge storyline about how you made my kid cry and how Uncle Jake's going to come and beat you up with his dad. And I wrestled for like a year, man. And Matic was one of my trainers. He's still a really good buddy of mine. And Hellcat's a really good I was talking to him earlier today, actually just making sure he was good because, you know, with all this, his wrestling school had to shut down. He had to close down a bunch of his events. You know, we ended up winning Tag Team of the Year. We never won a match, but we won Tag Team of the Year. And then I kind of went solo, and then I made a heel turn, and I ended up headlining at the Dome Arena, which is a 5,000 cap room back in Rochester, and I headlined in a War Games cage match, 5-on-5.
Fuck.
In the cage, dudes jumping off I mean, it was complete. I'm not going to call it a circus act because I don't want to degrade product by any means, because it was not a circus act. But we had Colin Delaney was there, who's in WWE, ECW. Trent, who's on AEW right now. Sonny Kiss, who's on AEW, was there. I mean, the Joey Ryan, you know, it was a stacked card. Out of all those people, you know, Cloudy and Cheech, who were both in Ring of Honor, those guys wrestled there. And I was one of the main event headliners, you know, and I knew exactly what I was doing. It wasn't like I was going in there and, you know, I'm the next Rock or some shit like that. Like, dude, I'm a very green wrestler. I punch, I kick, and, you know, I stomp. And I did what I had to do. I got pinned. I rolled out, and the match continued. But it was fun, dude. I got to live out that childhood dream of like Shawn Michaels and the Ultimate Warrior and all that. It was fun, dude. We had a blast, and I love it. And if I didn't get injured, I'd probably still be doing it.
Dude, that was awesome. I had no idea that you ever wrestled that. I've never really gotten to talk to anyone who's wrestled like this before. So no, that's really fucking cool.
It'll kick your ass. I mean, it's
my god, yeah.
It's legit. You set the ring up. It's not like it's some trampoline or anything like some people think. It's fucking wood, man. It's wood with those old heavy gym mats, like the ones that you rolled out, the actual wrestling mats.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's on. And then there's a tarp or a canvas that goes over the top of it. That's it, man. It's as real as you. I mean, you learn how to fall. It's just like a martial art. You learn how to take a bump. You learn how to throw punches and kicks properly, where you're not, you don't kill the guy. And man, I've caught a boot to the face a couple times, man. I thought I knocked my tooth out a couple times. I've watched dudes throw up in the middle of the ring from getting hit way too hard, man. I've taken chair shots. I've given chair shots. I've put dudes through tables. It's real, man. But at the same time, it's another little family where you're very close. Everybody, once you earn enough respect, you're their brother. HC Loke, I'm sorry. I can't not say HC Loke. HC Loke was one of the ECW hardcore guys as well. And he was, up until like a couple months ago, the heavyweight champion there for, a hot minute. So it was cool, man. We got to do a lot of cool things, and I got to meet a lot of cool people that I probably would never have had access to. And dude, if we wrote a story on my life of all the stupid shit that I've done, and I pissed myself in front of Haley from Paramore when she was like 16, 17 years old.
Oh, God.
Blackout drunk. Fell over, pissed myself. I was like, all right, man, whatever, dude. That's what I did. But that's a different story.
I kind of want to see the angle that you work on this one, as Haley Williams comes down.
Yeah, it was one of those. You remember Bodog? Are you old enough to know what Bodog was?
God, that sounds familiar. And that sounds
Bodog was like the online poker.
Okay, yeah.
For a very long time. And it was on Warped Tour, and it was the first year that Paramore was on Warped Tour. And like I said, Haley was like 17 years old. They had a Bodog tournament set up for everybody on Warped Tour. So it was like Newfound Glory. This is going to show my nerdiness. Magic the Gathering also sponsored Warped Tour that year, so they gave everybody decks of Magic the Gathering cards. So it's like, all right, man, we're doing Magic the Gathering tournaments every night on this tour, and I'd get my ass kicked by Chad from Newfound Glory, and
I'm not surprised though.
Dude, he's got like binders and binders of like Magic cards, and you're just like, what are you rolling out here, man? I got my freebie deck that Magic gave me. And he's like, no, man, this is like a rare gold card from like the 1992 set. And I'm like, all right, dude, let's play this game. And I'd get my ass beat by these dudes. But yeah, Bodog tournament, we were playing poker, and I thought I was doing really well. And just like any casino, if you're playing poker, they're giving you free booze. And I'm a young, I don't know, it's like 22, 23 years old, and I'm just pounding booze because it's the one night that I allowed myself to drink. And this is exactly why we set up a no drinking rule on Warped Tour unless you had the night off the next day. But yeah, I got blackout drunk, stumbled around. My buddy had to pick me up off the ground after I pissed myself in front of Haley, apologize profusely, like, sorry, he's a hot mess right now, and then throw me in our van because we didn't have a tour bus or a bandwagon at the time, and drive us to the next stop where I sat in my piss pants until they could find me a shower.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a Warped Tour story.
Feel like we're a little closer now, Austin.
A little bit, yeah. No, that is wow. Glad you could share that with me.
Yeah.
So since we were kind of talking about, from yesteryear, it's 2020 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that we've made it past the Ed Hardy shirt stereotypes that were such a big thing for years?
I feel so bad because Ed Hardy was a phenomenal artist, and Christian Dior, who ended up buying that brand out or something like that.
I know it was somebody who wasn't Ed, wasn't a tattoo artist to my knowledge. So
right. I think it was Christian Dior, and if I'm wrong, sorry. If I'm right, fuck you, Christian Dior. But yeah, I guess they bought out like a whole bunch of like old prints or something, and just started printing it everywhere. There's a really cool brand that has I don't want to say a similar aesthetic, but more of that all over sublimated print. I want to say they're called 36 Ghosts, and they're at a bunch of the expos, but they do full blown like Japanese traditional, and it's like the Japanese wind coming over the shoulder blade, and it's cool shit, but it's expensive as fuck. But then there's a lot of younger cool, like I said, Blackcraft I think is, while it's very evil, and evil's probably not the right term for it because I hate using that term and then saying satanic. I don't think that being a Satanist is evil.
No, not at all.
That's a fair assessment. But it has a dark, very dark imagery, obviously. Born Dead is another cool tattoo styled brand, and they're doing great shit. And I want to say they started right around the same time I did, and it's Vinny and his girlfriend. I see them at expos all the time, man, and we're cool with each other. I don't look at Vinny as competition. We do share similar customers, but I feel like he's a little bit more street brand and it is a little bit more branded. It's definitely like it says Born Dead on almost everything he puts out, which is smart. And his stuff's a little bit more, I don't want to say refined, but he's definitely got a little bit, he's got the tag that's sewn onto the bottom of the shirt. He's got the printed inside label. I don't do that. It's not because I don't want to. I don't want to pass that charge on to my customer. I'm not saying that Vinny does that. I don't know his pricing structure or how he works things out, but I don't feel I need to do it right now. Because again, I feel like it's supposed to be more about my artist and not my brand at the moment. I'm sure eventually I put some printed tags in. Yeah, I've got them drawn up already. I just haven't pulled the trigger to print the tag inside of my shirt. It just is what it is. I hope to God we never have somebody do what they did to Ed Hardy ever again.
Let's fucking hope not.
Right?
All right. So what's a piece of advice you would give to someone who's looking to start making t-shirts or clothes?
Learn as much as you can about the printing process yourself. If you can afford to do it, do it. You got to take chances. You got to roll the dice. Being a brand, the only time my brand's ever grown is once I've taken a chance on it and risked it. I don't want to say I risked it all, but like I forced us to open up a brick and mortar at one point. And if we didn't sell, we were locked into this, 3-year lease. I forced us to go into all these different directions and really pushed us. But I'm one of those people that I feel like thrives under pressure a little bit more. Like when things are hectic, I don't know, man, I go into fight or flight and my brain it operates better under pressure. And that's when I kind of get my craziest ideas and kind of go with it. And I was talking to one of my old customers and I'm like, dude, you should be, when we were printing shirts for him, I was like, you should be at every country music festival from here to California. Like, why aren't you doing that? You make country shirts. And then I was like, why the fuck am I not at every tattoo expo from here to fucking California? Like, why am I not doing that myself? That's how I started rolling on the tattoo industry outside of, Rochester. We were doing the Rochester show. I helped set it up with my artist. He worked for the shop that does that expo. And, I was there lugging shit in with him, unofficially helping out. That show is like a big trad fest, which is cool. That kind of hardcore scene, trad all over the place. It goes back to what I said, where when you leave Rochester, not even Rochester, I shouldn't say that. When you leave a small town, you kind of become exposed to so many more cultures, the industry. And I want to make sure that all of that is brought here to Rochester. So I started doing my own tattoo expo, which is going to be coming up in late October. And I got a lot of really cool artists in it. And it works out that, I'm friends with all these cool artists. So I'm like, yo, I'm doing a tattoo expo. Like, come out to my hometown and show everybody how fucking rad you guys are and how much more there is in this industry. And yeah, there's a bunch of fucking awesome trad artists, but there's a lot of new school artists and there's a lot of dudes that do some like dark demonic shit. Like Kit Marlew is one of those dudes that does cool, dark, demonic looking stuff that's, black and gray shade work, freehand all over the place. But at the same time, I want to do a live art painting where I get like 6 different artists to collaborate on 6 different pieces within the span of an hour. And I kind of borrowed that from Hell City, and I've got Cervana Fox is coming out to that one, and it's Derb's wife from Hell City, and she's going to be doing burlesque, and she's going to be doing tattooing, so she's got a little bit of the entertainment side unlocked for me, and she's super rad. If anybody has never heard of Cervana Fox, definitely look her up. She's super, super cool. One of the nicest individuals I've ever met. She does a lot of cool burlesque vampire looking stuff, lots of blood, but she does a lot of aerial chain act, cool stuff. And I've got aerial artists from New Zealand coming in. I've got tattoo artists coming in from Greece. So, it's already getting known internationally. And we haven't even opened the doors for this thing for the first one yet. So I'm super pleased with that. And I'm hoping that, Rochester sees that there is a lot more than trad work, which is, like I said, it's amazing. I've got an entire brand built off of it. But there's other things out there, and there's a lot of really cool artists that probably just aren't recognized enough, in the world that need to be.
Totally. Okay. No, that's I'm excited for that, man. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Before we go here, is there anyone who might be listening to the program you might want to give a shout out to?
Dude, there's so many artists and friends and family that if I tried to chime in a name, I'd be offending one of them. But I miss my entire tattoo family. I hope that all of this COVID thing ends quickly and we can all get back on the road, because there's a lot of artists that are just hurting. If any artist is out there and you might not follow me yet, follow me at Ghost and Darkness brand and tag me in your prints or your artwork or anything that you might be trying to sell to make some money right now. I will gladly share that stuff for free to all my followers. So hopefully they, somebody likes something and they put a little bit of money in your pocket so that you can, pay your bills while you're not tattooing. But yeah, man, thank you for, having me on your podcast. I appreciate you reaching out. This is super cool. And I love your mullet.
Thank you so much, Rob. I appreciate having you. It's been awesome today. Thank you so much.
Dude, thank you, brother.
That was awesome. Thanks again so much, Rob. Go ahead and visit his site. That's ghostanddarkness.com. Follow him on Insta. He's at Ghost and Darkness Brand. While you're at it, go ahead and follow me on Insta at Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast. I know that money's tight for a lot of folks right now, so even if you can't necessarily buy a shirt right now, go ahead, give them a like, give them a follow, give them a look, and tell all of your friends. While we're on it, I know I've previously mentioned the importance of supporting your favorite bartenders, baristas, and tattooers during times like these, but also your favorite independent wrestlers and promotions are also being hit very hard. I know all the big promos are doing live events without audiences and everything, but the smaller independent promotions are getting hit the hardest. The extension of quarantine/social distancing protocols is really making me worry for the future of independent professional wrestling. Once this is all over, go ahead, get out there, and fucking support the shit out of the indies. Bit of sad news. Yesterday, Adam Schlesinger passed away due to complications of the coronavirus, so we're gonna go ahead and dedicate this episode to his memory. I saw a lot of tributes mentioning that he was the guy who wrote/sang Stacy's Mom, and I totally get it. That's Fountains of Wayne's song that everyone knows. I'm not going to call him a one-hit wonder because Stacy's Mom isn't the best song on that album, much less the best song in their repertoire. Fuck it, you know what? That's what I'm going to do right after I'm done with this. I'm going to go ahead, spark one up, and put on Welcome Interstate Managers. Thanks for listening. I'm Austin Larson, and this has been the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast.